It's 7:52 on a Sunday morning. The Pope has joined in the debate over the killing of George Floyd this week, giving his backing to a Catholic bishop who joined protesters kneeling as a sign of respect at a Black Lives Matters event. The Pope has talked about the sin of racism. It says we cannot close our eyes to any form of racism or exclusion while pretending to defend the sacredness of every human life. But the church is here in Britain in a position to take a lead on racism. Well, joining me is Bishop Dexter Edmund, the senior pastor at Bethel Church in St George. I spoke to him last Sunday ahead of the Black Lives Matter march in Bristol, which he was due to attend. You did go along, didn't you?
Yes, I did, Lucy. Good morning. I went along with my son, who was actually one of the speakers at the event, and I was there. I was present, and I'm grateful that I was able to experience what for the majority of the people that were there, a peaceful and nonviolent event. Yeah,
I watched some people were live streaming what was taking place on College Green. It was very peaceful. People were doing their best to keep to social distancing. It was quite difficult because the crowd numbers increased and increased over time. How aware were you of what later unfolded with the Colston statue? Did you know what was going on?
Well, this is actually quite a unique experience for me because we were the march began at College Green and then was going to end at Castle Mead. So we were all sort of walking towards Broadmead at the time, and we heard this loud roar and did not know anything that really of any significance had taken place. It was not until we got home and then social media started to blow up, as it were, that we realized what had happened. And so in the moment when we were actually there, we did not know that the statue had come down. It wasn't until later when we got home, as I said.
Was it important that statue came down? Was it important that statue came down on that day and in the manner in which it came down?
Well, that's excellent questions. I think it was important, and I speak personally, that the statue came down. I think that there will be great debate as to how it came down, and there will be further debate as to whether or not the time in which it came down was the time for it to came down. But there was the elements of what could be described as a perfect storm. I think that the symbolism of it coming down on a day when we were celebrating and really giving voice to the value of Black people, that a statue that represents a man that earned millions buying and selling people of color and would be my ancestors, and was treated. I think the abhorrence of slavery is one that even history cannot really give a true picture to the destruction and the trauma and the continual trauma of the people. So while I may disagree with it coming down on the day it came down, I certainly agree that it should have come down. But there are some things that happen in a moment that are seminal, and I think that was one of them.
What's the church's responsibility now in moving forward? We've spent a lot of time looking back in history over the last week. What do we do now to look forward?
Well, I think that we, as I said last week, and I've been saying all week, our role as leaders of faith is to present social justice action in a nonviolent and peaceful way. But we also know that nothing of any import has happened to emancipate people for whatever cause that has not come as a result of some type of civil disobedience. And so whether or not we release people, we're never going to release people to break the law, but we recognize that in order for change to take place, sometimes uncomfortable episodes have to happen, and we have a long history of that, whether it be the women receiving the vote here in the United Kingdom, where women chained themselves, broke the law, chained themselves to the gates of the Houses of Parliament, or whether it is the dismantling of apartheid in South Africa. Nothing of import happens without people making decisions to voice their opinion. And so we are, and we will continue to educate, teach, lead in a peaceful and nonviolent way. but ensure that the history that people are aware of our history and the reason why these things happen from time to time.
Bishop Dexter, thank you.